The IDs, we're into lucky number 13 module. So that means we're getting down toward the very end. In fact, if you have a look at your calendars, the final projects and things are going to be due in 2 weeks, roughly. So we want to make sure that we get everything buttoned up. There's one other thing I want to make sure that you're aware of, and that is if there's any missing assignments for any reason, make sure you get those in by that date too. Just as a little bit of a forewarning, with grades and things like that, the grade center calculation and how that works is if something hasn't been turned in, it doesn't really count it towards the grading. So it may be a little misleading in terms of what a working grade is right now, because it just is not factoring in the assignment that hasn't been turned in. In other words, it's not averaging in a zero. So it can get a little bit confusing as to what the running grade is at present and so forth. So you need to make sure that if you have missing assignments, May 7th, we want to get those things out of the way so we can have a fully calculated grade with all of the necessary assignments, concept checks, everything in there, so that you get an accurate grade. Okay. So that's that. Second piece of kind of a bookkeeping thing is that this week we're going to have 2 assignments, okay, and they're posted in there as assignments, but they're going to be incorporated into the final rubric grade thing. So, long story short, I need the column to mark a grade in there, to put the points and so forth, but I don't need your assignment, because the final assignments are going to be part of the final project. And of course, I'm going to be going through the final project with those deliverables that you haven't essentially turned in yet, which is like the collaboration, the multimedia, and I think the instructor perspective. Okay, those are all just going to be they're going to be added into the final rubric, and it'll be incorporated into the final grade in the course. Okay, so it's kind of weird that I have an assignment there for those 3 deliverables, but I'm actually going to be marking it in the final grade. So we kind of have to do a tricky thing with Blackboard. Just when you look at those 2 assignments, which is the final 3 deliverables that we haven't included yet, and the presentation, right, of your course, just like upload a blank document or something like that, just so something shows up that says it needs grading in that box, and that way I can calculate the final grades for those items. Okay, so that's that piece. Now this week is actually like the last week of content, for the deliverable. It's module 13. It's instructor support. Which is a really interesting one, because as IDs, that's one of the things that we do. That's part of our job. We support instructors, and we do 3 things. One is that we need to teach our instructors pedagogical things. We need to rationalize certain teaching techniques and things like that. All right, and that goes with understanding what it is that what adult learners are like, how adult learners think, and things like that, how a good assignment is put together, and all of those things. All right, so we got to communicate good pedagogy. The second thing we need to do is we need to teach them how to do these things, and we need to teach them how to use the tools. We need to be able to help them, support them in making good selections on tools, and we've talked about that in module 2, right? I mean, if it's something that's public, if it's something we want students to discuss, we encourage them to use a discussion board. But if it's an individual, kind of reflection piece, maybe the journal is better, right? So, it all depends on what the instructor wants to accomplish. That's the simple thing, and we need to go off that, and that sort of thing. And then, how is it that we technologically support instructors? Sometimes we need to do that too. I'm trying to upload this PDF and the students aren't seeing it. What's wrong? Is Blackboard broken? Normally it's a very, very simple solution, but sometimes that's what we need to do. We need to help the instructor kind of mitigate the problem and see what we can do to help them. All right, so those are the items that we're looking for when we're talking about instructor support. The good thing is I've actually tapped 4 of my very capable and superstar ID friends to do some videos for us, and they're going to talk on a number of different topics for that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to reflect on a simple journal entry on what you saw from these 4 superstar IDs, and give a little feedback on what you thought about what they did and how you would incorporate some instructor support techniques and so forth in your own work if you were if you were supporting an instructor in a course development process or as a support ID. Okay, so that's that part, and I hope you have a really wonderful week. I hope the course development and the project development is going really well. If you have any questions, of course, it's the Q&A forum or the the email if it's as such as that. And I'll have a message for you next week for certain on the final week, which will be the course rollout week essentially. And I'll also be talking about the gallery walk too, which will, as it has in the past, happens really when the course has been completed and fully marked, fully graded, and then you have the opportunity of going in and seeing the other groups of work essentially. All right. So have a great week. We'll talk to you later. Bye bye.